even that aside, I think it's very clear that you can see that if we were to cut like all of our military spending, even we're still operating at a deficit. Like we still, I think last year our federal spending was like $6 trillion. So that's what, $1.5 trillion a quarter. Yeah, more than that. 90 days spending more than $1 trillion and $1.5 trillion. Where I think just pre-COVID it was like $1.5 trillion a year, maybe 3-4 trillion between like the Trump's first administration and Obama's second administration. And yeah, I think it was $1 to $2 billion or $1 trillion less, but yeah, in the $3 to $4 trillion level. And it's like our military budget is in the $1 to $2 trillion range yearly, and I think it's much closer to $1 trillion than I think $2 trillion. And it's just so easy, like, oh, all these big numbers, but like Medicaid, that's something like $4 trillion or $3 trillion, or maybe it's between Medicaid and Social Security. And it's just, we need to make the tough decisions in this country that like just no one is willing to, whether it's the people voting or the people in Congress that don't want to be the bad guys, then get voted out of office for making the real decisions that, hey, these programs that were made, back at the end of the Great Depression and, into World War II, post World War II, like, none of those were supposed to be permanent programs. And now here we are 80 years later, give or take, a couple decades or so, and we're still all relying on these, government programs. And not saying we shouldn't have any sort of welfare or like assistance for people in need, but when it's at the detriment of our whole country, either going bankrupt, if you were to accept that as a possibility, or more realistically, as we're seeing right now, just the hyperinflation of the US dollar to where, hey, it may all sound great on paper that, we have Americans making, these 6-figure salaries or whatever. But if that 6-figure salary doesn't equate to what, the average salary did back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, doesn't matter, how much of that number you have on paper, right?